Is there a genre more problematic than the rape revenge thriller? Intended to empower women who seek violent vengeance on their abusers, many films of the genre get bogged down with depictions of graphic sexual violence, undermining the message and ending up as more of a misogynistic spectacle of female trauma, suffering and pain than an empowering stance against the patriarchy. In the wake of growing female empowerment and the rise of the Me Too movement, many more women are engaging with the rape revenge genre and trying to put their own spin on things. Modern takes on the genre like Jennifer Kent's The Nightingale have a more female approach to the narrative, but critics still question the depiction of brutality on screen, some saying it was historically accurate and others seeing it as unnecessarily gratuitous. The genre is one that is constantly questioning its own form, asking how stories about rape should be told and who should be telling them. Promising Young Woman offers a new perspective on the narrative. In fact, no rape happens on screen at all, and we never meet the victim, Nina. She is present only in the turmoil of our main protagonist, Cassie, as she attempts to come to terms with her friend's rape and subsequent suicide. Finding she could no longer complete med school after the tragedy that befell her best friend, Cassie drops out and has since been living with her parents and spending her days working in a coffee shop. Once a promising young woman with so much potential, she now spends her life in mediocrity. That is, until the sun sets. By night, Cassie dons her nail polish, wigs and lipstick, her weapons for revenge. Once at the bar, she looks for her victims, the so-called nice guys. Pretending to be overly intoxicated, a damsel in distress, these men often offer to escort her home, with darker ulterior motives in mind. But her revenge is never a violent one. Cassie just wants to confront these men with their own behaviour and make them reflect on their belief that they are one of the good guys. It seems that since Nina's death, Cassie's revenge scheme has consumed every aspect of her being. She's put her life on pause and sacrificed her career, relationships and happiness to avenge her friend. Through this dark second life, Cassie serves as an avenging angel for her friend, and throughout the film, religious iconography is used to frame Cassie as such in the narrative. In fact, the first time we see Cassie out on a nightly revenge mission, she is lying supposedly blackout drunk on a club booth with her arms spread wide, crucified. She is our modern saviour, forsaking herself for the sins of the world, or more specifically, for the sins of the men of the world. In this shot, the many disco balls in the mirror almost seem to be a version of the halo that we see repeatedly throughout the film. Whether Cassie's crusade is successful or not is another story. Rather than empowered, avenging angel, the movie focuses on Cassie's isolation, depression, and the real-life impacts of living through a traumatic event. When telling the names of her victims in her notebook in her childhood bedroom, we often see her framed with the headboard spread out like wings behind her. Her act of revenge is framed as innocent, celestial, and virtuous, but the reality for Cassie is quite different. Despite her candy-coated appearance and hyper-feminine bubblegum look, the colour and life has been sucked out of Cassie, and her behaviour ultimately comes across as self-destructive. Later, in the coffee shop, we see Cassie standing in front of a fresco on the wall, a blue orb framing her head, resembling a religious painting. The iconography of the disc of light behind her head is often used in art to indicate a sacred figure, most commonly associated with the Virgin Mary. In fact, even Cassie's facial expression seems to resemble how the Virgin Mary is depicted in many artworks, a vision of piety and devotion engulfed in celestial light. The innocence that she's bathed in is directly contrasted with the promiscuous costumes and makeup she wears when putting on her act as a temptress. Her devotion to her friend is the one thing that drives her, when it seems that everyone around her has either forgotten or given up. Even Nina's mother tells her it's time to move on.
Cassie, move on. Please. For all of us.
But she can't. Cassie's heart is broken, depicted by the two halves of the necklace she hangs on her bedside. Again, the religious paintings pinned alongside the photo of herself and Nina add an angelic aura to their friendship, and the heart necklace seems to represent the Sacred Heart, a religious symbol of boundless love, a love that transcends life itself. Cassie's mission, though, is unclear. Through her plotting, she is able to get confessions from their old friend Madison and the university dean, but these actions don't seem to please her. While she forgives the lawyer who admits to being tormented by guilt, absolving his sins and showing the true Christian value of forgiveness while he cries at her knees, her world is shattered when a video of Nina's rape reveals that her boyfriend, Ryan, was amongst the people who stood by and did nothing.
Oh my god. Whoa, this is insane. Ryan, holy shit, come look at this. Yo, don't film me. Dude, put the camera away. Dude, oh my god.
Cassie recommits to her revenge plan, seeking out the perpetrators by posing as a stripper for their stag do party. This is where the film really turns the genre on its head, as instead of completing her revenge mission, Cassie is murdered. While she does finally win in a sense, and the film does see the arrest of the men at the centre of the drama, her death feels a huge price to pay for this hollow deliverance of justice. While the religious imagery throughout the story frames her as a martyr, the cruel reality of it is that another woman has had to suffer at the hands of the patriarchy. It's a grim outlook, but Promising Young Woman seems to highlight the inability women have to escape abuse at the hands of men. However, Promising Young Woman doesn't pretend that all men are pure evil. It depicts its central male characters as fully developed humans who lead full lives surrounded by people they love and who love them. Their crimes are drunken mistakes, which they feel a lot of regret for.
I don't remember. I don't.
Didn't make an impact, huh?
I was a kid.
But by having Cassie's final acts of vengeance fail and result in her own murder, the film takes aim at the broader problems in society that perpetuate rape culture, rather than simply focusing on any one man. It looks at issues such as the lack of consequences for these men, the complicity of the friends who cover for each other, and the incessant victim blaming.
This is not your fault.
I don't know, it kind of seems like it is.
No.
If Cassie had been successful in killing her friend's rapist, as happens in many rape revenge stories, there could be room for sympathy for these pathetic men who beg for forgiveness.
Really, don't fucking cry. Tell me what you did.
I didn't do anything wrong, though.
By showing that he's still very much capable of the most heinous of crimes, and that his friends are still willing to cover it up for him, Promising Young Woman doubles down on its own principles and leaves us with a sickening sense of how vast the problem of rape culture really is.
This was a fucking accident. No one's gonna go to jail because no one's ever gonna find out. If anybody asks, we all saw her leave last night. She stripped, and then she left.
In the end, Promising Young Woman turns out to be less of a rape revenge film and more of a study of survivor's guilt, highlighting the impossible task of being a woman and living in a society that freely normalises rape culture and prioritises the voices of the promising young men whose potential careers are more important than justice for their victims. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for a new video essay every 2 weeks.